I, Richard Feynman, once got asked a question I couldn't answer. Not because I didn't know the physics. I knew the physics perfectly, better than almost anyone alive, but because the question itself was impossible, unanswerable, meaningless in a deep way. The question was, why does magnetism work the way it does? Simple question, innocent question, the kind of question people ask all the time. And I sat there in front of the BBC camera in 1983, and I couldn't answer it. Not wouldn't, couldn't. Because why is a trap, a linguistic trap, a philosophical trap. And once you see the trap, you can never answer why questions the same way again. Let me tell you what happened, what I said, why I got frustrated, and why that frustration reveals something profound about how we understand the universe. The interview was for a BBC series, Fun to Imagine. They wanted me to explain physics to regular people, make it accessible, fun. Great, I love doing that. I've spent my life teaching, explaining, making physics intuitive. The interviewer asked about magnets, how they work, why they attract and repel. I started explaining magnetic fields, electromagnetic force, how electrons have magnetic moments, how they align in certain materials, how that creates macroscopic magnetism. Good explanation, clear, accessible. Then he asked, but why? Why does it work that way? And I stopped, looked at him, and realized, I don't know what you're asking. I felt it physically, a knot in my stomach, frustration rising, not at him, at the impossibility of the situation. The camera was rolling, lights hot on my face, the interviewer waiting, expecting an answer, a simple answer. Because of this, done. Next question. But I couldn't give him that because his question wasn't simple. It was infinite, bottomless, a trap disguised as curiosity. I took a breath, tried to think how to say this, how to explain that the question itself is the problem. I really can't, I started. I'm not going to be able to give you an answer to why magnets attract each other except to tell you that they do. He looked surprised, almost hurt, like I was refusing to help him, and to tell you that because one electron is doing something, another electron can feel that. How deep you want me to go? I could go deeper, but then you have to tell me how far back. Do you know about electricity? Do you know about quantum mechanics? I was getting agitated now, not angry, agitated, frustrated with language, with the limitations of explanation. Because if I start with something you don't understand, I'm not explaining anything. I'm just giving you jargon, pushing the mystery back one level. The interviewer shifted uncomfortably. This wasn't going how he expected. He wanted neat answers, clean explanations. This causes that. Done. But physics doesn't work that way. Reality doesn't work that way. Not because I don't know physics. Because I don't know what why means to you, what level of explanation you want, what would satisfy you. And that's when I said it. The line that became famous that people quote, that sounds arrogant, but isn't. I can't explain it to you. Not because you're stupid, not because I don't understand it, but because I don't know what you mean by why. Let me break this down. Let me show you the trap. You ask, why does magnetism work? I say, because electrons have magnetic moments. Why do electrons have magnetic moments? Because they have spin. Why do they have spin? Because that's quantum mechanics. Why does quantum mechanics work? Because that's how the universe is. Fundamental law. But why is that the fundamental law? Stuck. No answer. Not because physics is incomplete, because the question has no meaning. At some point you hit fundamental laws, bedrock, and at that level, why stops making sense. Fundamental laws don't have a why, they just are. They're the starting point. You can't explain axioms in terms of something deeper. There is nothing deeper. So when you ask, why does magnetism work? What are you really asking? Are you asking me to explain magnetism in terms of electrons? I can do that. Are you asking me to explain electrons in terms of quantum mechanics? I can do that. Are you asking me to explain quantum mechanics in terms of what? What would satisfy you? If I explain it in terms of X, you'll ask why X, and we're right back where we started. This is called infinite regress. Every Y generates another Y unless we agree to stop somewhere. And where we stop depends on what you already know, what you're familiar with, what seems obvious to you. This is what frustrated me in that interview. Not the question itself, but the impossibility of knowing what would answer it. Different people need different explanations, different stopping points. If I'm talking to my Aunt Mabel, sweet woman, no physics background, and she asks, why is ice slippery? I'll say, because there's a thin layer of water on the surface. That satisfies her. That's the level of why she needs. She can picture it. Water is slippery. Ice has water on top. Makes sense. We're done. Beautiful, clean. She walks away understanding something she didn't before. But if I'm talking to a physicist and they ask, why is ice slippery? That answer is useless. Worse than useless. It raises more questions than it answers. They'll say, yes, but why is there a layer of water? Is it pressure melting, surface reconstruction, quasi-liquid layer? What's the molecular mechanism? Now, I need a different explanation. Hydrogen bonding, crystal structure, temperature effects, molecular dynamic simulations. Same question, why is ice slippery? But completely different answers depending on who's asking. And here's the thing, both answers are correct, both are true. They're just at different levels. Aunt Mabel got what she needed, a satisfying explanation at her level. The physicist got what they needed, a deeper mechanism. But notice, the physicist's answer doesn't replace Aunt Mabel's. It adds to it, goes deeper, but doesn't make hers wrong. And that's the key insight. The thing people miss about why questions, there isn't one answer. There are many answers at different levels for different audiences. All correct, all incomplete. Every answer is complete enough for some people and incomplete for others. This is what I couldn't convey in the BBC interview. This layered nature of explanation, this dependence on context and audience. Same question, different audience, different explanation, different place to stop. So when the BBC interviewer asked, why does magnetism work? I don't know what would satisfy him. If I explain it in terms of quantum field theory, will he understand that, or will it just be more jargon? If I explain it in terms of that's just how electrons are, will he feel cheated, like I'm hiding something? There's no right answer because the question isn't precise. It's asking for an explanation, but not specifying what kind of explanation, what level, what framework. And this is what makes why questions so tricky, so frustrating, so often meaningless. In the interview, I tried to explain this, tried to show the problem with why. I said, when you ask why, you have to be very careful what you mean, because if I say because of X and you don't know what X is, then you haven't gained anything. You've just pushed the mystery back one level. The interviewer looked confused, frustrated himself, like I was being difficult. But I wasn't being difficult. I was being honest, trying to show him that his question wasn't as simple as it seemed. And I get it. I understand the frustration, both his and mine. He wanted a simple answer, a satisfying explanation, something that would make magnetism make sense. And I wanted to give him that, but I couldn't. Not without knowing what makes sense means to him. Because making sense is subjective, personal, depends on your background, your knowledge, your intuitions, things that make sense to me. Quantum field theory, gauge symmetries, Feynman diagrams. Those don't make sense to most people. They're not intuitive. They're technical, mathematical, things that make sense to most people. Everyday experiences, mechanical analogies, this pushes that. Those don't work for fundamental physics. The universe doesn't work that way at the quantum level. So we're stuck talking past each other. Him asking why, me unable to answer because I don't know what why means. This is why I got frustrated. Not with him, with the situation, with the impossibility of the task. And then I said something else, something that also became famous that people quote, that sounds harsh but is true. You're not going to be able to understand it because I don't understand it in the way you want me to explain it to you. Not because we're both stupid, but because the kind of understanding you want doesn't exist, can't exist. You want magnetism to make intuitive sense, to feel obvious, to fit with everyday experience. But it doesn't. It's quantum mechanical. It's weird. It's counterintuitive. And no amount of explanation will make it feel normal because it's not normal. It's quantum. I can tell you the equations. I can show you the math. I can describe what happens, but I can't make it make sense in the way you want, because that kind of sense, everyday intuitive sense, doesn't apply here. We're in a different realm, quantum realm, where intuition fails. And this is true for all of fundamental physics, not just magnetism. Why does quantum mechanics work? It just does. That's how the universe is. Why is the speed of light constant? It just is. That's a fundamental fact. Why does gravity exist? It doesn't. Gravity is curvature of space-time. But why is space-time curved? Because energy and momentum curve it. But why? Because that's the equation. Einstein's equation. But why that equation? Because it follows from certain symmetries and principles. But why those principles? And now we're in infinite regress again. Every answer generates a new question. Eventually, you have to stop. Say, this is how it is. This is what we observe. This is the fundamental law. There is no deeper why. and that feels unsatisfying, incomplete, like we haven't really explained anything, but we have. We've explained everything that can be explained. We've traced it back to fundamental laws. We've shown how everything else follows from those laws. The laws themselves don't have a why, they just are, and that has to be enough. This is what physics has taught me. This is what decades of research and teaching have shown me. Why questions hit a wall. And that wall is fundamental laws. Beyond that wall, there is no why. There's only what and how. What are the laws? How do they work? Those we can answer precisely, mathematically, experimentally. But why are the laws what they are? No answer, no possible answer. The question has no meaning. Maybe that bothers you. It bothered me for years. Felt like a cop-out, like giving up. But it's not giving up. It's recognizing the limits of explanation, the boundary of human knowledge, the point where questions stop having answers. And that's okay. That's not failure. That's success. We've traced everything back to the fundamentals. We've explained everything that can be explained. The fundamentals themselves, the laws of physics at the deepest level, they don't need explanation. They're the explanation. They're what everything else is explained in terms of. You can't explain the explanation. That's circular, meaningless. So when someone asks, why does the universe work this way? The only honest answer is, it just does. That's what we observe. That's the fundamental reality. Not satisfying, but true. In the BBC interview, after that exchange about magnetism, we moved on, talked about other things. The interviewer probably thought I was being difficult, evasive, arrogant. Maybe I felt bad afterward, wondering if I'd failed somehow, failed to communicate, failed to teach. But I also felt I'd been honest. Maybe the most honest I'd been in any interview about the limits of explanation, the boundary of understanding. The show aired 1983. Fun to imagine. People watched it. Some got it. Most probably didn't. Just another TV show, another physics interview, and then decades later something strange happened. YouTube, someone posted clips, the magnetism exchange, my frustration visible, my attempt to explain why. Why is hard, and it went viral. Millions of views, people sharing it, discussing it, arguing about it. Some comments, this is brilliant, he's showing the limits of knowledge. Others, he's being deliberately difficult, just answer the question. Others, I finally understand why physics is hard. Not the answers, the questions. It became one of my most watched clips, more famous than my Nobel Prize lectures, more shared than my Feynman lectures on physics. Why? I think because I showed something people rarely see. A physicist being honest about not having an answer, not because of ignorance, because the question itself is flawed. That's uncomfortable. We don't like admitting questions can be wrong. We assume every question has an answer somewhere if we're smart enough, if we look hard enough, but some questions don't. And recognizing that having the courage to say this question has no answer, that's rare, unsettling, important. And people saw that interview, clips of it. It went viral decades later on YouTube. People sharing it, discussing it. Some people got it, understood what I was saying, appreciated the honesty. Others got frustrated, thought I was dodging the question, being unnecessarily philosophical. But I wasn't dodging. I was trying to explain that the question itself was the problem, not the answer. The question why assumes there's always a deeper explanation, always another level, always something beneath, but there isn't. Eventually, you hit bedrock, fundamental laws. And at that level, why has no meaning. This is hard to accept, goes against our intuition. We're wired to ask why, to seek explanations, to want things to make sense. But the universe doesn't owe us sense, doesn't owe us intuition. It just is what it is. And our job as physicists is to describe what it is, not explain why it is. Because why has no answer. We describe the laws, we test them, we use them to predict, we build technology based on them. But we don't explain them, can't explain them because there's nothing to explain them in terms of they're the explanation, the foundation, the axioms. And axioms don't have proofs. That's what makes them axioms. I've spent my whole life teaching physics, explaining things, making complex ideas accessible. And the hardest thing to teach is this: why questions eventually become meaningless. Not all why questions. Some have answers, but fundamental why questions. Why does the universe exist? Why these laws? Those have no answers. Not because physics is incomplete, because the questions don't make sense. They're asking for impossible explanations. The BBC interview crystallized this, made me articulate something I'd felt for years. Why is a trap, and the only way out is recognizing when why stops having meaning. When you've hit the fundamental level, that's where physics stops. Not because it failed, because it succeeded. It found the bedrock. And at that level, we just describe. We don't explain. We say this is how it is. That has to be enough because there is nothing deeper. I, Richard Feynman, have explained quantum mechanics to thousands, won a Nobel Prize, developed new physics, but I can't explain why quantum mechanics is true. Why those laws? Not because I'm not smart enough, because the questions have no answers, and that's okay. That's not failure. That's the nature of fundamental knowledge. Some questions have answers, some don't. Knowing which is which, that's wisdom. Why does magnetism work? Has answers at some levels. Electrons, quantum mechanics. But at the deepest level, why does quantum mechanics work? No answer, just it does. And sometimes the most honest thing a physicist can say is, I can't answer that, because the question itself is wrong. That's what I said in that BBC interview. That's what I've learned in 50 years. Why has limits? Recognizing those limits is as important as answering the why questions that do have answers. That's the lesson, that's physics. And now you know